Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again. I am here at the last minute since Safi, I don't want to get into it, but you know what kinds of things Safi does to screw things up on this channel. I am here today to review Ghostbusters Afterlife. And yeah, I finally watched it. First off, a little history of just what I think about the series overall. I love the first one. The first one, obviously it's a classic. It's a masterpiece. There's a great blend of adult and kid humor, and there's just so much stuff to like. The actors are all fantastic. The effects are really good. The effects people, they also did the effects for my favorite movie of all time, Fright Night, and they're really damn good at their jobs. And then Ghostbusters 2, I really don't like. I just think that it repeats a lot of the stuff from the first one, and not in a good way, like in Home Alone 2 or Halloween 2 even, if you could count that. It's a very, very lazy, soulless sequel. And that came after that. But then I haven't seen the animated series, the cartoon, because honestly, I don't really want to watch a lot of cartoons, unless it's I don't know, Spirited Away, stuff like that. I'm not really in the mood to go back and watch cartoons. And then with the video game, they made a video game, and honestly, the video game is the best sequel that they've ever made to the movie. The video game is so much fun. There's a lot of new ghosts, a lot of new areas. It's such a cool game. It is a little rushed, and the villain is trash. The villain is this. Oh, I don't know if I should spoil. I guess I could. The villain is this stupid art dealer or something. He's really trash villain. But still, the game is really, really good, and I've played it twice at least. Then came the 2016 Feminazi Agenda Ghostbusters, and you all know how bad that piece of shit is, and that movie should just be wiped from existence. I mean, I never watched it. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to support it. And I'm not going to even really talk about it, because it just goes without saying. It's a complete fucking disaster. A complete fuck you to the fans. And a complete disgusting pile of shit. Now we get to Ghostbusters Afterlife. This franchise, it has some troublesome history. Even if you take out the retarded feminazis who tried to destroy the series. Well, they did for a while. They destroyed it for a while. Even if you take that out, this series has a really troublesome, I heard about all these times they tried to make a sequel. All these different attempts. Had trouble with Bill Murray, of course. And, yeah, it's a really... It's hard to even talk about, because it's the first one was really capturing lightning in a bottle. Because nowadays, of course, you can't really, I don't know, they couldn't really recreate that ever unless they do it in a video game. Because in a video game, it's just their voices. It doesn't require them to do stunts and stuff like that. So honestly, I think that they should have just made a video game trilogy, because, video games, they're not so disrespected anymore as they used to be. They're still kind of bad sometimes, a lot of the times, especially with, you see how Hollywood treats video games. That's how little Hollywood thinks of video games, is that they make those soulless trash adaptations. Well, with Ghostbusters Afterlife, it's really weird. It's really, really weird. It feels, honestly, I'm really mixed on it. I wanted to love it on it, obviously, because it doesn't have any agendas in it. It has lots of great actors. You know, you got the little girl was probably the best actor in the movie because they gave her the most. You know, she was the granddaughter of Spengler, and she's really, really good, and she's a pretty good character. But it's kind of weird how this is a Ghostbusters movie, and you know, we're dealing with like really dangerous ghosts, like really, like really the types of things that, you know, I don't think that like a little 12-year-old should be dealing with, because it looks kind of fake and phony. It looks cartoony without even having the cartoon on it. Honestly, this movie has a lot of heart. I'll give it that. You know, it has a lot of heart. The whole movie is dedicated to Harold Ramis, and you know, I admit it was very emotional at the end. You know, they had this really great emotional payoff at the end, and it was building the whole movie, and I actually liked a lot of the stuff in this movie in terms of that. I think that the whole idea of his ghost being there on the farm and helping them out, and like just being there the whole movie without even actually being there, you know, that's really, really cool. Because it feels, you know, you can feel his presence the whole movie, even though he's dead. Unfortunately, rest in peace, Harold Ramis. And then you have the big problem though with the movie. Well, there's two big problems. Number one, there's way too much reliance on the past. Like, I like the idea of them moving to the small town, and they move to Harold Ramis's farm, his dirt farm, and they have to discover how to become Ghostbusters themselves to, you know, save the town, save the world, blah, 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 blah. I like that idea, kinda, but the way that the movie just keeps going on and on, just copying these ideas and just, you know, rehashing things, having the same villains, making jokes about like, oh, should you say that line that you said in the first movie to that same villain? Should you repeat yourself? You know, a lot of weird things like that in this movie that really like kind of turned me off. Because when you're watching a sequel, the last thing you want is to be reminded of how good the last movie was. The whole movie. Like with Home Alone 2, that movie literally just built another layer on top of the cake. Like, they didn't just point to the cake and say, look, remember eating vanilla cake? Now you're eating red velvet cake. No, with Home Alone 2, they added an entire new layer to that vanilla cake. And you got to enjoy both layers of the cake, and it was really good. With this, it's literally like someone is just pointing at a cake, saying, remember that, remember that, remember that. That being said, it also suffered from the fact that it's a kid's movie. And it did try to have some adult humor once in a while. It was a little forced and kind of cringeworthy, though. Like the whole escort joke, and then the pole dancing joke. Like, these were some really weird choices for jokes in this movie, especially since, you know, they're joking about this 12-year-old pole dancing, and then we literally spend the whole movie with the 12-year-old. Like, isn't that kind of weird? Like, isn't that kind of like, like I could, it's a little weird. And there's a lot of stuff like that in this movie that feels like there's a conflicting tone. Should I make this a kid's movie to attract the kids, to make them want to buy all the toys? Which I don't know any kid that would want to buy like a munchie toy, a muncher toy, because they don't really. That's another issue. they don't really have any new ghosts. If they do, they're not really featured that much. Like, they have this blue ghost named Muncher, and he chews through metal, he eats metal, and so he's used for plot convenience at one point to chew up these jail bars. I like that idea. I thought that was good. I like that, honestly, but it just seemed like, okay, but we're really just going to show, what are we going to show? We're going to show the gatekeeper and the keymaster. We're going to show Zool, whatever the fuck. We're going to show Stay Puft Marshmallow Minis. And I didn't like that. I thought that was really cheap. It was sort of like they showed this as a clip. They showed a mini Marshmallow Man sequence clip on YouTube. It just felt like a commercial. Like, remember Ghostbusters? You should buy this. That's what the whole movie felt like, honestly. It really didn't feel like a proper story that was being told. It almost felt like you go back to an old fireplace and then you like light a new fire, and it's just like using the stuff that's already there, and the stuff is hardly even there anymore, and so it's just like a wimpy little fire. That's what this was like, you know. I really have to question to say, like, if this is even good. Because I know that, like, right now, like, I liked a lot of the stuff in it, even though I sound really negative. You know, I liked Paul Rudd, even though he's in it for, like, 5 minutes. I liked, and I thought that was weird, too, because he's an adult. And with the kids, it was really, really troublesome watching these little kids using these proton packs. And it's funny because the movie even shows they have trouble using it so much, they have to basically use hacks. Like, they have to put a trap on a little car and drive the trap car around, and then the other kid just holds the ghost with the proton pack, and they trap the ghost that way. And it's like, oh, I see. So you really kind of suck at this. You're not very good. You know, there needs to be some sort of an adult. And I thought it was really weird, too, because there's this really cringy storyline. It's probably the worst part of the whole movie. It completely doesn't fit. And Finn Wolfhard, you know, I don't know why he just keeps getting cast in every single kid's role. I really hate that when they do that. It really pisses me off. Because in this movie, he has this really cringy storyline where he goes to a diner and he falls in love with this girl, and then he works there so he can get close to her, and then they get to know each other, and it's like, God, this is really cringeworthy. Like, like, I don't know, like, who wanted to watch this in a Ghostbusters sequel? But he's really the worst part of the movie, and it's really weird how they don't have any adult, like, helping the Ghostbusters until, like, the very, very end. And so this whole movie, they're struggling. But with that storyline, with that storyline, the girl that he has a crush on, she has a dad, and he's the sheriff in town. And shout out to him because he's Mike from Fargo Season 2. And I just watched him in the X-Files last night, Season 3. And he is pretty good, and I don't understand why he wasn't one of the Ghostbusters. Like, he had the tools. Wouldn't it have been a lot better for him to discover that there's ghosts in the town? He needs to protect his town, and so then he, like, returns some of the equipment to the kids, and then he helps them fight. No, because they wanted to just have the little nostalgia thing at the end where, I mean, it literally, they're having this final battle, this final hoorah with Zool, and out of nowhere, Ray, Egon, and Ernie Hudson, Winston, they come back. Wait a second, am I getting? No, wait, no, Peter. Sorry, it's just I've never, when I've always talked about that movie, I've never called them by their characters' names. I've always called them by, like, Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, Dan Aykroyd. I never really associate them with their names. But they just, the trio, they just come out of nowhere, and it's sort of like a birthday party style appearance where they come in at the very end to help fight Zool. And honestly, they were pretty good. I liked seeing them again. The best one was probably Dan Aykroyd, but Ernie Hudson was really good too. Because I love the moment where Dan Aykroyd, he goes up to the podcast kid, and the podcast kid was pretty cool, but still, like, it's kind of weird having these kids as main characters. It feels a lot like with Chucky, where you had kids as main characters in that, and then Chucky can't even kill the kids because it's a shitty fucking... Well, we're not talking about Chucky. But I loved it when Dan Aykroyd goes up to podcasts, and then he recognizes his podcast name. And he's like, "You're my one viewer?" I thought that was really good. That was probably one of my favorite jokes in the movie, because it was a cute little payoff, and the fact that he listened to this kid's podcast, and then they get to meet at the end. That was pretty cool. But there was I don't know, it just, the movie, and then the end credits had these weird scenes where they were just like clearly like just nostalgia bait style scenes, and I don't know. But they popped up like they're showing up at a birthday party, and honestly, I have to wonder, like, stop, like, don't do that. Like, give their characters more respect than that. Like, I know she called Dan Aykroyd earlier on in the film, but how they just pop up like that, and it's really kind of weird. And that's what the problem with this movie was. As it went along, it just got weirder and weirder. It stopped feeling like a Ghostbusters story, and more so like a TV special or something, like a 30th anniversary TV special. And obviously, I did love, though, at the end when Harold Ramis came back as a ghost, and he's standing there with his granddaughter and then with his daughter. I really liked that. That was the best part, honestly. But see, that's a problem, because that's the best part of this sequel. Like, really? Like, really? So anyways, I'm really mixed on it. Something else that was really good, by the way? This is something I forgot to mention. It's really trivial. It doesn't really even matter at all to the movie. But, guys, that Harold Ramis' daughter character, I can't even remember her name. The mom. She is the fucking hottest MILF I have fucking ever seen in 2021. Like, that whole 2021 year of movies, I thought I saw some pretty hot MILFs. There was that sexy British mom from the Home Alone reboot, and then the Clifford reboot. But damn, I didn't know. Like, I mean, this mom is so hot. I was suffering. This whole movie was just like sitting there like, damn, I wish she was the main character. Because she was really fucking hot. And I gotta say, like, she might be in the top 10 MILFs of all time. And that's saying something. So I guess that's kind of a win. Other things that I liked about this movie, I liked the setting. I liked that. They had some interesting choices with, like, this mining shaft place and stuff like that. And I thought, wouldn't it have been cool if they actually utilized those more? Like, you've seen ghost hunters and ghost shows where they go to these smaller town places, and I just don't understand why they weren't utilized more. They're just sort of like background pictures while the story happens in front of it. But yeah, I this movie's fine. It's fine. Would I rate it in terms of food, since it's getting a little long? This movie really, I knew what it was as soon as I got to the halfway point. This movie is like when you're at home, it's a rainy day, and you have a box of mac and cheese for lunch. You know, some Kraft mac and cheese, and you have that for lunch, and that's what this movie's like. It's very simple, it's very plain, it's very reminiscent of your childhood, but it really doesn't offer anything new to the table, for the most part. You know, it's very, very, like, reliant on the past, and I really don't like that. You know, it reminds me a lot of Halloween 2018, except at least this is actually a good movie, I guess. You know, it's a good kids movie. Like, if I was a kid, I would have been like, yeah, that's a pretty good movie. But I'm an adult, and honestly, I think that there could have been a better Ghostbusters sequel, and there was. There's the video game. The video game is way better than this. The video game destroys this movie. So anyways, thank you for listening to this review all the way through. Please like it if you liked it. Comment. Tell me what you thought about Ghostbusters Afterlife. Because I know, obviously, everyone loved it. Or they hated it because they... I didn't hate it. I just think it's pretty good. It's like, it's pretty good, kinda. Like, it's nothing special. You know, it's not going to be... It might be in the top 10 movies of 2021. I don't know. So yeah, and then please subscribe to our channel if you want more honest movie reviews, because that's what I do. I keep it honest. And, you know, I could just sit back here and love this movie and get like 1,000 subscribers in a day from doing that. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be honest and say, you know, that's not how I felt. This movie... It was weird. It was very weird. This whole movie was like you picked up Slimer and you started trying to eat Slimer, and started trying to take little Slimer chunks out of him and tried to eat him. Like, that's what this movie was like. It was very weird. And then, yeah, goodbye, everybody. See you soon.